In the first page, you said, and I'm going to quote this, a UN Commission of Inquiry headed by a South Africa jurist and a self-described Zionist found in 2009 that the blockade plausibly constituted a crime against humanity. Now, a lot of Israelis will say, or people on that side will say, that the UN might say something, but the UN is anti-Israel. And they'll point to statistics such as that the United Nations Human Rights Council condemned Israel 104 times since 2006, and against Iran, Russia, North Korea, and everyone else combined, only 99 times. Or the other point, that the United Nations General Assembly has passed 141 times condemning Israel since 2015, double all the other condemnations in other countries combined. What do you say to that?
Well, the first thing I would say is that when the UN Commission of Inquiry was formed after Operation Cast Lead, which occurred in December 26 to January 7, December 26, 2008 to January 17, 2009. When the UN Commission of Inquiry was formed, the mandate for that commission was written by Richard Goldstone. Now, Richard Goldstone was an eminent South African jurist. He was Jewish, and by his own reckoning, he was a Zionist. So it's hard, and as I just said, he wrote the mandate. The UN Human Rights Council said to him, you write what you are going to investigate, and we will approve whatever you write. And that's what happened. And then Goldstone said, I couldn't very well refuse to serve on a commission where I myself wrote the mandate. Number two, the opinion that the blockade of Gaza is illegal under international law is shared by every international human rights and humanitarian organization. It's the opinion, the law bearing on a occupation is called the Fourth Geneva Convention. And what's called technically the term, the guardian of the Fourth Geneva Convention, is the International Committee of the Red Cross. And the International Committee of the Red Cross has consistently held since 2006 that the blockade of Gaza is illegal under international law.
No, and I get that other international organizations have also said that, but about the point specifically, is the UN anti-Israel?
Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, and so forth.
But about the point that I mentioned about, it seems like the UN is anti-Israel. From all those statistics that I mentioned, what would you say to that?
There's a reason for that. Because Israel ignores all UN resolutions. 95% of what you call all these resolutions is simply the UN repeating itself. How many times has the UN said the settlements are illegal? And how many times has Israel proceeded to keep building the settlements? How many times has the Security Council, not just the General Assembly, the Security Council ruled that the settlements are illegal under international law? Israel keeps building the settlements. And then they're condemned again, and condemned again, and condemned again. If Israel keeps breaking the law, why should it come as a surprise that the violations of the law, the breaches of the law, are persistently denounced by the UN? Take the case of the International Court of Justice. In January 2024, the UN issues the ICJ issues what are called provisional measures. Provisional or indicates. I have to use the technical jargon, or then somebody's going to come along and say, you don't know what you're talking about with the law. Well, actually, I know very well what I'm talking about. The ICJ indicates provisional measures. That's steps that Israel has to take because it's plausibly in violation of the Genocide Convention. So it says Israel has to admit humanitarian aid into Gaza. You know what Israel did? Israel actually, after the ICJ indicated its provisional measure, it reduced even more the amount of humanitarian aid being admitted to Gaza. Then the South Africa goes a second time before the ICJ for the same thing, to admit humanitarian aid to Gaza. Israel ignores it. ICJ then goes in March to the
I get
South Africa goes
I get what you're
in
saying.
March,
That Israel
and then it goes in May. It keeps going back and back and back and back because Israel is simply ignoring the orders of the supreme legal body in the world.